The reason why I like macro photography is I like small things. Macro photography does make you think differently about everything because you realize how much is there that you just don't see. The small flowers, the small bugs, the millions of bugs. I mean, there are just so many of them, and most people don't pay any attention to them at all. It's a sort of a treasure hunt for me, going out and finding things and then trying to make something beautiful out of them.
So we're basically heading into a swampy woods. I've been coming here for 10 years. This is a good place for butterflies and damselflies and midsummer and all sorts of things. What I really want is white ice with beautiful crystalline patterns in it. With a little bit of hunting around, I may be able to find something that I can take a picture of.
What I do is imagine the subjects I'm after before I even go out and think about compositions that I want to make out of them. And then I'll go out and try to look for them. You don't always find what you're looking for. There's a sort of a give and take between looking for the thing that you imagined before you walked out and just finding something extraordinary.
Okay, I found a hole in the ice that's got interesting rod-like crystals on it. I doubt that it's anything that would catch the eye of anybody but a guy like me.
It wasn't until about 10 years ago that I caught the bug, literally and figuratively. The thing that got me started was a digital printer. Looking out on the web, I found beautiful things I could print out, and I realized maybe I should be taking pictures. I always loved taking walks and finding creatures.
Ooh.
And I've always loved flowers, so that was one of the first things I went to look for.
There's mayapple and bellwort. This is bluebell right here. Dutchman's breeches. There's lots more flowers up ahead.
Besides flowers, I started noticing all these other cool things. And one of the early things I encountered was a beautiful butterfly that I'd never heard of before. It has a wonderful name, Great Spangled Fritillary. Encountering that butterfly sent me off in two directions. One was starting to find out more about butterflies, and the other one was figuring out how I'd try to photograph butterflies. Butterflies are something that I love. There are few butterflies that people know, and many others that are small and easy to overlook. After a while of chasing butterflies, I've learned that some butterflies are ready to pose. If you're out early, sometimes you can find butterflies asleep, perched on flowers or grass, and you can sneak up on them before they wake up, and then you can get as close as you want and spend half an hour with them sometimes. A few times a year, the bug just decides it doesn't mind being there with you for a while. You can sit and get to know them and explore them from any angle. And if you're lucky, you can explore them from any angle in good light. Those are the glorious moments. You try to find some kind of engaging thing, like capturing something of the personality and the character of the bug.
Morning.
Morning.
If you walk outside, there are millions of things. And if you walk up to something like a flower, there are still millions of things. But if you want the viewer to see one thing, you have to figure out how to reduce the image down to the single thing that you really want to communicate. Close-up photography, you have an opportunity to isolate and simplify. And that is not a way that you see things with your eye. When you put a new lens on your camera, it's like putting in a new eye. You have to use the lenses you've got to select the parts of the pattern that are the most compelling.
See if I can use the foliage in front of this guy to get an out of focus foreground.
Sometimes it can be a brilliant color. Sometimes when the sun is low, it illuminates things. When I find a flower I like, I'll do a whole series of images as a portrait against a background, getting in a little bit closer and trying to isolate just the head of the flower, going in to the center of the flower and finding wonderful stuff. I've made some nice images where the out of focus areas around the center frame the color that's in the middle. If you just take a picture of the whole flower, you lose all these wonderful structures.
There's a nice out of focus green haze at the bottom of the frame. I'm going to try to change the framing to remove some of the distracting elements and get the good stuff.
When I first started doing photography, winters were a fallow time. I didn't know what to do with myself because so many of the things that I loved were things that grew. And then I discovered ice and ice crystals. When the ground gets cold enough, water in the air condenses on things and starts to make these glorious shapes. You could compare them to feathers or to leaves or ferns, but they're very organic looking. And those are really special, and they don't happen that often. It seems to happen when the temperatures are single digits. Going out looking for ice, you start to find lots of different looks. When streams freeze over, bubbles get caught underneath and make wonderful patterns in clear ice. The next day, the ice is completely transformed. It turns white, and you see these beautiful flowing curving patterns etched by the flow of water underneath. Then ice crystals start to form on the surface of the ice and look like stars or flowers. Sometimes I've been able to find combinations of all of these things. In those cold conditions, you see beautiful things that you just don't see every day. A lot of my best images have come out of a basic idea and refining that basic idea. Finding the right conditions and situation for the subject to really speak for itself. I've started doing pictures of waterfalls. Water is incredible. It's something that's changing constantly. So if you click, 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 it's going to look different every time. And something extraordinary can happen, you might just catch it.
What I'm seeing is that, oh, that's a better frame.
The real challenge before you even snap,
There. I think I've got it.
it's thinking about what things have the most impact and what is beautiful. And it means what is beautiful for me. There's sort of a personal journey in learning what excites me. The thing that excites me when I go outside is finding something new. You can travel to the other side of the world to find something new, or you can find something new in your backyard. There are wildflowers that are incredibly tiny and have beautiful and outrageous colors. But nobody notices them and most people step on them. There are millions of things there that you just need to open your eyes to.